So think about this for a second. How does an 8-minute, mostly instrumental track, right, produced on a laptop in a small bedroom in South Africa,
Yeah.
and then shared via, like, a compressed WhatsApp audio file, how does that end up completely rewiring the global pop charts?
It sounds impossible when you frame it like that, but I mean, it's happening.
It really is. Today, we're looking at the new global superpowers of music.
Yeah.
Because if you've, stepped foot in a club or scrolled through your phone or just checked the charts recently, your ears have been traveling straight to Africa.
Definitely. And you're witnessing this massive cultural shift. We're essentially looking at a complete redrawing of the global pop music map right in front of us.
Yeah.
Like it is no longer just London or LA or New York dictating what the rest of the world listens to.
Which is wild. So we are going on a serious musical journey today to understand how that map got redrawn. And we have a fantastic source for this deep dive. It's this really insightful column from Monumental Movement Records, or MMR.
It's a great piece.
It really is. And it has this incredibly striking title. It's called Amapiano versus Afrobeats, the New African Sound War. So our mission for you today, listening to this, is to basically shortcut your path to becoming a global music insider.
Right. Get you up to speed.
Exactly. We're going to unpack the history, the actual architecture of these sounds, and this so-called war between these two mega genres that are just rewriting the 21st century musical landscape.
And that MMR text is such a great foundation for us, too, because it doesn't just treat the music as some commercial product. It treats it more like an anthropological event,
Oh, totally.
It looks at the sociology, the grassroots technology, and just the really deep history driving these specific beats.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right out of the gate, that term sound war, that sounds incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, it does.
It implies that these artists are at each other's throats fighting for, limited chart space. But based on the source, that's kind of a misnomer, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's entirely a symbolic phrase. Like, the artists themselves aren't in this bitter rivalry at all.
Okay, so who's fighting then?
Well, this new African sound war is a debate happening mostly among the fans, cultural critics, music journalists. They're debating who holds the crown for the future of global music.
Right.
Because for decades, the Western music industry treated the entire continent of Africa as this single homogenous source of world music influence.
Yeah, like you'd get a generic conga loop thrown into a pop song and they just call it an African vibe.
Exactly. But this phrase, the sound war, it represents a huge paradigm shift. It's this realization that Africa currently boasts multiple, distinct, highly localized, and just immensely powerful music cultures. And they're simultaneously dominating the globe on their own terms.
So it's actually a testament to cultural abundance, not like destruction or fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Abundance is the perfect word for it.
Okay, so to really understand this abundance, we have to define the two massive superpowers in the room here. Let's start with, I guess, the older sibling in this dynamic, Afrobeats.
Yes.
And we should definitely clarify that's Afrobeats with an "ez" on the end.
Right. That is a really crucial distinction to make. Because Fela Kuti pioneered Afrobeat back in the 1970s. And that was heavily jazz and funk-oriented, deeply political, usually with big live brass bands.
Right, very different vibe.
Totally different. Afrobeats with an "ez" is the modern pop iteration. It really crystallized in the 2000s, primarily emerging from urban centers in Nigeria and Ghana.
And it feels like at its core, it is engineered to be highly accessible pop music, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's built on these very concise structures, incredibly catchy melodies, stellar vocal performances, and, high-profile international collaborations.
Yeah, it seems like Afrobeats was heavily optimized for traditional distribution, like radio play, streaming playlists, sticking to that classic 3-minute song limit.
Yes, very radio-friendly.
And it draws so heavily from dancehall and R&B and hip-hop, which kind of gives it this really slick, flexible quality. It can adapt to almost any global pop market.
It really can. It's incredibly versatile.
But then we have the other superpower in the room, right? The younger sibling, Amapiano.
Yes. And Amapiano emerged about a decade later in the 2010s. And geographically, it's thousands of miles away.
Right, opposite end of the continent.
Exactly. It was born in South Africa, specifically out of the townships in the Gauteng province, which includes Johannesburg and Pretoria. And fundamentally, it just serves a completely different master.
What do you mean?
Well, if Afrobeats was built for the radio, Amapiano was built for the club.
Ah, okay.
It is entirely driven by DJ culture. Actually, the name Amapiano translates to the pianos in Zulu.
Oh, we didn't know that.
Yeah. It reflects its heavy use of these really lush, jazzy electric piano chord progressions. What's really fascinating here is how the MMR column categorizes their distinct paths to global dominance.
Yeah, they had that great breakdown.
They did. They pointed out that Afrobeats conquered the world through the ears.
Right.
It utilizes irresistible vocal hooks, familiar pop song structures, memorable lyrics to just get lodged in your brain. But Amapiano conquered the world through the body.
Through the body.
Yeah. It operates on this inescapable physical groove.
Those structural differences make me think of it like this. It's like Afrobeats is your tightly scripted 2-hour blockbuster movie, right?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
It's perfectly paced. It hits all the expected narrative beats at exactly the right time. There's a clear hero, and it's designed to just thrill a massive global audience from start to finish.
Right, very calculated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Amapiano is more like an immersive 6-hour interactive theater installation.
Oh, wow.
You wander into a dark room, there's no clear plot, and the atmosphere just slowly, steadily seeps into your skin until you don't even realize you've been moving for hours.
That structural analogy actually holds up perfectly when you look at the raw data of the tracks. The architecture of that immersive environment, it all starts with the tempo.
Okay, let's get into the science of it a bit.
So the source notes that Amapiano sits right around 110 to 115 beats per minute.
Which, if you think about it, puts it in a very strange liminal space for dance music, doesn't it?
It does. Standard Western house music or techno usually drives really hard, like at 120 to 130 BPM.
Right, it's fast.
And traditional hip-hop is much slower, so Amapiano sits right in the middle.
Right.
Furthermore, Western electronic dance music relies heavily on these aggressive engineered buildups and massive explosive beat drops to force a crowd into a frenzy.
Oh yeah, you wait for the drop.
Exactly. But Amapiano completely rejects the drop.
Wait, really? It rejects it entirely?
It does. It favors these long, sprawling tracks, sometimes stretching over 8 minutes, that deliberately build a groove through the slow accumulation of tension and release.
Okay, I have to admit, I kind of struggle to wrap my head around that working in a modern context.
That's
Well, we're constantly told that our attention spans are just destroyed, right? Nobody has patience anymore.
true.
So if this is the ultimate club music taking over the globe, how does a slow burn, 8-minute track with absolutely no massive beat drop keep a room full of people dancing all night? I mean, it sounds like a recipe for the crowd just getting bored and going to the bar.
Right, you'd think so. But the answer to that lies in the genre's defining sonic element. It's the secret weapon that the MMR column points to, the log drum.
The log drum. But it's not an actual acoustic piece of wood being hit with a mallet in a recording booth, is it?
No, not at all. The Amapiano log drum is a heavy, synthetic manipulation of a traditional percussive sound.
Okay, so it's digital.
Right, it's a digital patch, and it often utilizes really heavy distortion and sub-bass frequencies. But its power isn't just in the tone, It's in how the producers use it.
How they use it.
It basically functions as a percussive bass line and a melody at the exact same time. It has a distinct pitch, so you can actually hum the bass line. But the real magic trick is the timing.
Ah, the syncopation.
Yes. Producers program the log drum to hit just behind the beat.
Just behind it.
Yeah. It almost never lands squarely on the standard 1, 2, 3, 4 count. It falls into the empty gaps between the kicks. It arrives like a fraction of a second later than your ear expects it to.
So it's essentially like musical edging.
That's one way to put it.
Your brain is unconsciously bracing for the impact of the bass on the downbeat. And then the downbeat passes by empty.
Right.
And right when your brain goes, wait, where is it? The heavy bass finally hits. So you're basically forced to physically move your body to fill that empty space where you thought the sound was going to be.
That is actually a very accurate way to describe the neurological response to it. It creates this constant, subtle physical anticipation.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, your body is perpetually reacting to the delay, trying to catch the beat. That slight syncopated delay, combined with that slower 110 BPM tempo, it creates an environment where clubgoers can dance for hours without physical exhaustion. It feels like the rhythm is carrying you.
Yeah.
You aren't expending all this energy trying to keep up with a frantic beat, You are just riding a wave.
I mean, it's biological manipulation, honestly.
Yeah.
But in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
And this specific pacing, this specific groove, it didn't just emerge from a vacuum, right? The column roots this deeply in South Africa's socio-political history.
It does. You really cannot separate Amapiano from the legacy of South Africa.
Yeah.
It is the culmination of decades of musical evolution following the end of apartheid in 1994.
Right.
So this sudden influx of freedom and movement for Black South Africans in urban areas, it birthed a genre called Kwaito in the 90s.
Which is really the soundtrack of youth liberation, wasn't it?
It was, and Kwaito was slower, it was highly localized, and it was really street corner music. It rejected this polished, imported Western pop for something that sounded like the reality of the townships.
Yeah, the tempo matched a more relaxed, confident swagger.
Exactly. And Amapiano carries the direct genetic memory of Kwaito. It inherits that slower tempo, the localized slang, the raw reality of the streets.
But it's not just Kwaito, right?
No, it also absorbs the deep house music that has been massive in South Africa since the 90s, along with local jazz chord progressions and even gospel vocal harmonies. It basically synthesizes the nation's entire modern musical identity into one sound.
It's incredible. So, okay, we know the mechanics of the sound now and the deep cultural history driving it.
Yeah.
But that brings up a massive logistical problem.
Which is?
How does a localized 8-minute slow burn club track with absolutely no pop vocals reach the global masses? I mean, traditional top 40 pop radio is certainly not going to play an 8-minute track of just vibes and syncopated log drums.
You're completely right. They bypass the traditional infrastructure entirely. The Rise of Amapiano is honestly a masterclass in grassroots decentralized distribution.
Here's where it gets really interesting, I think.
Yeah. The MMR column points out that Amapiano wasn't some manufactured product cooked up in a corporate boardroom by massive Western record labels.
Right.
It spread through hyperlocal DJ sets. It played from the modified sound systems of minibus taxis navigating the townships. And crucially, and this is wild, it was shared via peer-to-peer networks.
WhatsApp, right. This is the detail that completely blew my mind when reading the source.
Yes, WhatsApp. Because internet data can be really expensive in South Africa, and streaming platforms just weren't universally adopted yet in the early days of the genre.
Think so?
So kids and producers would share compressed audio files directly in WhatsApp group chats.
It's amazing.
It was this closed loop. The DJs, the dancers, the producers, they were all co-creators passing the music back and forth. They'd test it in local parties, refine the sound based on exactly how the crowd moved, and then just send a new version out the next day.
If you think about traditional pop music distribution, right?
Yeah.
It basically functions like a highly guarded, super exclusive VIP club.
Right, yeah.
The major record labels, they own the building, they hold a guest list, and they employ the bouncers. They decide who gets past the velvet rope to be heard by the masses inside.
Exactly.
But Amapiano didn't even bother lining up at the door of the VIP club. They just went down the block and threw a massive, undeniable street party.
I love that.
And they kept playing until the party got so loud and so undeniably good that eventually everyone inside the VIP room started climbing out the windows just so they could join in on the street.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. The mainstream music industry literally had to bend to accommodate Amapiano, not the other way around.
Right.
But there is a really fascinating technological paradox that the source brings up regarding its eventual explosion onto the global internet.
What's that?
Well, we just established that Amapiano is defined by these 6 to 8 minute long slow building tracks.
Yeah.
So how does a genre like that manage to absolutely dominate the 15-second hyperactive attention span era of TikTok?
That is such a good point. Because it goes against everything we were told about social media algorithms. Right?
Completely.
I mean, Western pop stars are practically tearing their hair out trying to write a catchy 3-second vocal hook just to appease the TikTok algorithm.
Exactly. But Amapiano solved the algorithm without changing its musical structure at all.
Oh,
Because it is fundamentally tied to physical expression. The dance culture isn't just like an accessory to the music, it is an intrinsic part of it.
Ah, okay. So because of the complex footwork, the shoulder movements, the waist isolation, the music itself is highly visual.
Precisely. You don't just listen to an Amapiano track, you watch people experience it.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. Because of that deeply ingrained dance culture, it thrived visually on short-form video platforms. You didn't need a user to sit through the whole 8-minute build-up.
You just needed the highlight.
Exactly. Seeing a 15-second visual clip of a dancer executing this complex, incredibly smooth footwork routine right as that heavy, syncopated log drum drops, that was enough to captivate millions of viewers.
Wow.
It completely blurred the line between listening to music and watching music. The physical movement basically became the hook.
So they effectively reverse-engineered the viral algorithm by prioritizing the body over a catchy lyric.
They did.
But this organic, viral, WhatsApp to TikTok pipeline, it didn't just build itself overnight. It was driven by generations of innovative producers and artists who figured out how to iterate on the sound and push it forward.
Yeah, and the source maps the evolution of these architects out in 3 distinct phases, which I think really helps track how the music morphed from the township streets to global stadiums.
Okay, let's break down those phases.
So if we look at phase 1, the foundational era, the architecture was really poured by producers who treated it purely as instrumental dance music. You have Kabza de Small, widely known as the king of Amapiano.
Okay, what specifically made him the king? Like, what was his contribution?
He was really instrumental in injecting sophisticated musicianship into the genre. He took what could have been a very raw, repetitive electronic beat, and he layered it with complex jazz chords and lush, soulful, deep house elements. He essentially gave the genre emotional depth.
Oh, I see.
And then you have his frequent collaborator, DJ Mafariza.
All right.
Mafariza was already an established producer who had worked in hip-hop and Afropop, so he brought this business acumen and a broader vision, structuring the tracks in a way that connected this hyper-local sound to a wider African market.
Like a duo, right.
Yeah. Together, they are the Scorpion Kings, and they essentially standardized the genre.
Okay, so phase 1 builds the house. It's instrumental, it's jazzy, it's for the clubs.
Right.
But phase 2 is where the sound starts mutating. We start seeing vocalists and hip-hop artists enter the scene, which honestly seems incredibly difficult.
It is.
Because if the log drum is constantly moving and hitting behind the beat, how do you even sing over that?
Right. It requires an entirely different approach to vocal cadence. Artists couldn't just sing a standard pop melody over an Amapiano beat. They literally had to learn to weave their voices through the syncopation.
That sounds tricky.
It is, but vocalists like Imos and Young Stunna, they figured out how to lay incredibly soulful, emotive vocals over the log drums. They proved Amapiano could tell complex stories and convey deep yearning, elevating it beyond just party music.
And on the flip side of that soulfulness, you get an artist like Vocalistic.
Yes. Vocalistic found a way to seamlessly blend the tempo of Amapiano with hip-hop.
How did you do that?
He basically figured out how to lock a rapid-fire rap flow to that offbeat triplet feel of the log drum.
Wow.
And this was a massive pivot because it brought in completely new, younger, street-savvy demographic who might have previously dismissed it as just, house music for older folks.
So now the genre has emotional vocals, it has hip-hop energy, and the local scene is just thriving. But I'm still trying to figure out how a local club phenomenon makes the jump to me seeing it everywhere on my feeds in the West.
Well, that jump happens in phase 3, the global era.
Okay.
And a key catalyst here was the realization that the DJ wasn't just playing the music. The DJ was the visual content.
Just like the TikTok dancers.
Exactly. Look at Uncle Waffle. She is a DJ from Eswatini whose high-energy performances went wildly viral online.
Oh, I've seen her videos.
Right. She wasn't just standing behind a laptop looking down. She was physically embodying the groove, dancing, interacting with the crowd. Her energy translated the raw, communal feeling of a South African club directly through a phone screen to millions of people worldwide.
That is so cool. And then you have the track that seemed to break every boundary, right? Tyla's 2023 smash hit, Water.
Oh, absolutely. Water is the perfect case study of structural fusion.
Yeah.
It proved definitively that you could take the syncopated Amapiano rhythms and the heavy log drum and perfectly marry them to a massive, mainstream global pop song structure.
Because it had that verse-chorus, verse accessibility, right?
Right. It had that and the slick R&B vocal hooks that Western pop audiences demand, while completely retaining its South African rhythmic identity underneath.
Which brings up a very real tension, I think.
Okay, what is that?
Well, with all these artists adding slick pop vocals, R&B structures, and hip-hop flows, is Amapiano in danger of losing its soul?
That's a common concern.
Because you see this happen, right? When a hyper-local sound gets optimized for a global audience,
Yeah.
does it just get watered down until it sounds like everything else on Spotify?
It is a totally valid fear anytime a localized scene crosses over. But the MMR column argues that Amapiano's core identity is actually its openness.
Openness.
Yeah, remember its origins. It was born from a cocktail of Kwaito, jazz, house, and gospel. It is fundamentally a hybrid. It grows and survives by absorbing other cultures and genres, not by building defensive walls around itself.
Okay, so the fusion isn't a threat to the genre.
Exactly. The fusion is the point.
I love that.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this idea of cultural absorption brings us full circle right back to the central premise of our deep dive, the supposed war with Afrobeats.
Right, because the grand climax of the source material reveals that this sound war isn't a war at all.
Yep.
It's a marriage.
Exactly. The lines between the two genres are completely blurring. They're not fighting to destroy each other. They are actively merging to create a powerful, hybrid African global sound.
It's so cool to see.
It really is. You have massive Nigerian Afrobeat stars. I mean, artists who sell out stadiums globally, actively seeking out South African Amapiano producers to build tracks for them.
Well, it makes sense. You take the world-conquering vocal melodies and the pop sensibilities of Afrobeats, and you lay them over the undeniable, hypnotic, syncopated body groove of the Amapiano log drum.
Right.
I mean, it's a mathematically unstoppable combination for a hit record.
It truly is. And this fusion signifies a monumental shift in the geopolitical power center of music.
How so?
For nearly a century, cultural cachet flowed in one direction. The West produced the sounds, and the rest of the world consumed them, or perhaps provided a brief world music novelty sample.
Right, the conga loop we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But the success of this Afrobeats and Amapiano fusion proves that cultural influence has shifted from the old capitals to the centers of virality. Lagos, Johannesburg, Accra, and Pretoria are now the nerve centers of global music culture.
That is a massive shift.
It is. They are dictating the tempo, the groove, and the aesthetic for the rest of the planet.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means that the next time you are out at a bar or scrolling your feed and you hear that deep, syncopated, slightly behind the beat log drum hit, or you hear a remarkably infectious Afrobeats melody seamlessly layered over a lush jazz chord, you're going to know exactly what you were listening to.
They'll hear all the layers.
Exactly. You will understand the history of Kwaito post-apartheid, the physical mechanism of syncopation, and the grassroots WhatsApp networks that built the sound. You are officially equipped to be the most informed person at your next party.
Absolutely. And to really internalize everything we've discussed, the MMR column offers a fantastic chronological listening guide.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I highly recommend taking some time to hear this evolution yourself.
Where should they start?
Start with early Kabza de Small to hear the foundational, instrumental, deep house-influenced roots of Amapiano.
Okay.
Then move to tracks by Amos or Young Stunna to hear how the vocal era required a completely new singing cadence.
Right, to match the log drum.
Yes. And finally, listen to Tyla or a recent Burna Boy track to hear the spectacular, polished, global fusion of Amapiano and Afrobeats that's happening right now.
The best kind of homework assignment is just listening to incredible music.
Without a doubt.
Well, we have covered a massive amount of cultural ground today in this deep dive, but I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Okay, what is it?
If a hyper-local sound from the townships of South Africa, created by young producers on laptops, passed around on compressed WhatsApp voice notes, and blasted out of minibus taxis,
Yeah.
if that can organically rise up and completely rewire the multi-billion-dollar global pop music industry,
Yeah.
what other hidden hyper-local musical revolutions are happening in neighborhoods around the world right now, just waiting for the algorithm to find them?
Wow. It is a great reminder that the music world is much bigger and honestly much more innovative than our standard playlists often suggest.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the new African sound war. Go listen to some log drums, let your body catch the groove, and we will catch you on the next one.